How are we doing, guys? We are back again with an opposition preview, and a very familiar face is joining us today. Corey from the West Ham Way. How are things, mate? How are things with Corey Kemp at this moment in time?
I'm knackered, mate. I'm tired. I've got a new job. I'm getting up early. But yeah, look, West Ham cheering me up on weekends. And listen, hopefully we can do it again on Saturday.
It's all right for some having football to cheer us up. I'll tell you that much, mate. I will tell you that much.
It's tough at the top, Oscar. It's tough at the
It's
top.
tough. Mate, it's hard work at the top. When the expectations are higher, it's horrible, mate. It's horrible. You won't be down near the bottom where we are, mate. It's a much funner life. It's a much funner life. But yeah. Well, it's really not, to be honest, mate. It's really not. Football's like, just for the last 3 years, it's been brilliant, but now football's kind of become a bit like...
It always happens, mate, though, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It does. It does.
You're talking to a West Ham fan here. I've had about 4 or 5 years of being near the bottom, so I'm just enjoying it, mate.
This time last year, mate. To be fair, when we first spoke, I think near enough this time last year. But anyway, Leeds versus West Ham this weekend coming up. Let's talk a little bit about West Ham at the end of the day. This is an opposition preview. It's been a solid start to the season for you, not just in the league, in the cups. Obviously, 2 away wins, 2 clean sheets. You beat a team from over the Pennines in, I can't remember who it was, to be fair. You beat someone from over the Pennines.
Outfit, mate. Don't worry about that.
Some Tim outfit. Apparently they've signed, I don't know, they've signed some good players. I'm not sure about that so much. But anyway, how have things been for West Ham so far this season?
Yeah, really good. I mean, we've really sort of picked up where we left off. I think like I've said a number of times to you, I think we're improving in terms of that playing style, and I think that's really been, when you look at the games like you've just mentioned, Manchester United away and Zagreb away, I think we've really seen that. So we're seeing development in the side, some great signings as well in the summer. Areola and Crowell came in the other day. I thought they were very, very good as well. So on the up, mate, disappointing. On Sunday I was there. It really, really hurt when Mark Noble missed that pen, but at the end of the day, we've come a long way.
Mate, I was fuming when Moyes made that.
Yeah.
I was fuming. I was screaming, Euros final. We've seen this happen before. Don't do it, David. Put Declan Rice on the penalty.
Well, that's the thing. I think at the game, it's tough. When you're in it, it's almost you see Noble come on and you see De Gea's record and you see Nobes's, you go,
the emotion kicks in.
There was something in the back of my head thinking, Declan's picked that ball up. I know he missed the penalty against West Brom last season, but he wanted it. And I wonder whether in those situations, you just have to go for someone that A's been on the pitch and B wants to take it. So if he scores it, he's a genius, isn't he, boys? Do you know what I mean? If he doesn't,
the thing is, if that happens 10 minutes into the game, Moyes isn't making that decision, is he? Or even with half an hour to go, I don't think Moyes makes that decision.
Yeah. I mean, he shouldn't have done it. I can't defend it. Absolutely not. Particularly when he's not warmed up. He's not kicked a ball. That is literally his only kick of the game. I thought the penalty was poor as well, if I'm honest, mate. I've seen Noble over a number of years slot it and put the keeper the wrong way. So disappointing. But in the grand scheme of things, the fact we were competing with Manchester United for that long without Mikel Antonio shows you how far this team have come.
Yeah, exactly. I have to say, at the weekend, I saw the game. I was very impressed by Kurt Zouma. I know maybe he might have got away with one towards the end of the game in terms of a penalty, but I thought he was solid, to be honest, mate. I thought in terms of settling into that back four, I think he's done a really good job so far. And obviously, there's no Patrick Bamford for us. The chances are he's going to be up against Rodrigo Moreno, the former Spanish number 9. I've said Spain's number 9 for the last year or so. I can't keep saying that because it's not true anymore. It's really not true anymore. He was the former Spanish number 9. How do you see that kind of going? Is there any kind of forward players you're worried about from this Leeds team who might actually be fit, because we've got an absolute massive injury crisis?
Well, look, I think, again, like, it's such a cliche, but against Leeds, if you can win that midfield battle, I hope it doesn't get to that stage where we're seeing that front four of Leeds and really coming into effect. Bamford not being there is a huge miss for you. I think his movement's absolutely fantastic. Dan James is the one, depending on where you play him. Play a back four and we're a little bit more expansive. You play him on the right against Creswell, you can get inside him and you can beat him. That's the only way. Rodrigo, I thought, had a good game against Newcastle. But his link-up was very, very impressive. I know he's got a lot of criticism in playing in that midfield role, but I thought it was better. Is Jack Harrison fit? I mean, I don't even know who's fit for Leeds.
Again, this is the thing. Harrison and Rafinha at this moment in time are doubts. Not definitely out, but the doubts at this moment in time. Whether that's just a bit of Bielsa playing, I'm not sure. Because Rafinha was actually a doubt for the Newcastle game. Harrison missed the Newcastle game. So, yeah, I would imagine if Dan James is playing this game, he'd play off the left. And that would probably mean he'd be against Kufal. Would I be right in saying?
Yeah, I think he's very, very good. Soufal 1-to-1, very, very good. In fact, I think he's.
Is it Soufal or Kufal? I've never actually known. I've
said I said Kufal when he first come in, and then a lot of Czech-speaking, fans said no, it's not. And obviously, we've got a Czech contingent, but I think
well, you are. You're basically Wolves of Portugal. You're Czech Republic at the minute.
I love the Czech lads, mate. I've got to be honest. They come in and it's not just it is the way they play. Obviously, they're talented players, but also they get it. They get the culture, and I think even when they've had bad games, they don't shirk. The level of consistency from Souček and Soufal is incredibly. Soufal for me goes under the radar as one of the best right backs in the league. I know he's not Trent, but he's very, very good.
Because I think Jamie Carragher, it was either Carragher or Neville on Sky last season, said that he was the best right back in the league based on not overall, but in terms of on this last season. I mean, would you say that's fair? Would you say he's that kind of level now? He's among the best in the league?
I think, look, technically, there is a gap, right? In terms of actual technique of some of these players. I think Reece James could be a phenomenal right back. I think Trent clearly is in terms of delivery. And Wan-Bissaka's fantastic 1v1. So I think, but outside of that, I think he's the next bracket. I think he's that good. Deliveries into the box are usually exceptional. The energy that he has, 1v1, particularly even when he gets beaten for pace, he's a very, very cute defender. I very rarely see him get trouble. Maybe Traore is the man. So maybe Dan James, with the pace in behind, if West Ham press up, can get at him. But I back him all day, mate. I think he's absolutely fantastic.
And obviously, just moving on to other big players for West Ham. I mean, one battle I'm really looking forward to seeing is obviously Calvin Phillips versus Declan Rice. Obviously, the England heroes for me in that midfield. They've just been absolutely fantastic together. I think it's 16 games unbeaten, I think it is. Something mad like that when they played in the same team. I think it's something crazy. 16 games unbeaten in normal time. Yes, that Italy game, technicalities, blah, 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 blah. We all know they're unbeaten. That's going to be absolutely massive. I think, obviously, Rice, for me, again, just based on the 2 or 3 games I've seen in West Ham this season, seems to have found another gear.
Yeah.
He seems to have found another, obviously got himself a goal in the Europa League. I mean, just how good can Declan Rice be? Again, I'll ask you the same question I asked you about Soufal. I mean, Declan Rice, where's he kind of ranking now amongst the number 8s or CDMs in the league for you, mate? Because he's a bit of both, really.
I think he's up there. I think Fabinho is maybe the only one that I would. Again, it's hard with Declan. I think the reason why people won't rate him to that level when they start talking about Fabinho is because of Champions League European football. But I think on the ball, the improvement of Declan Rice over 3 years has been absolutely unbelievable. And you watch him live, he cuts out passing lanes, he protects the defence consistently. Now he's pressing higher as almost like that number 8, winning the ball and driving with it. And he's almost creating from midfield, or at least trying to push through the midfield. So this season, in the final third, I think he's been great. You see the goal against Zagreb away from home, the finish as well. It's that little bit of composure that I think that he needs in his game. But people forget, I know he's been around for years and he's played over 100 games for West Ham. He's only 22. I mean, I think we're talking about an elite defensive midfielder that will go right to the top, as old Harry Redknapp would say about Lampard. Less said about Lampard, the better. But Deck is so good. He's so good. And I think he's a leader as well in that midfield. He's taking that captain's armband on and he takes the responsibility.
Now, I'm not going to ask you a comparison between Phillips and Rice because I don't like the comparison in terms of who's better. This player offers that, the other player doesn't offer anything. I just think between Leeds and West Ham fans, I think there's a respect there on both sides of both players. Because they're different at the end of the day, Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips. This lazy analysis for me throughout the Euros, I'm not sure if you'll agree with this, mate, was that you can't play Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips together because they're the same player, and it's like
it's a load of rubbish, man.
You what?
I said months. I said months before. I said months before they can play together. I thought it was absolute rubbish. I actually said I would rather Declan and Calvin played together than Declan and Henderson or Calvin and Henderson. I genuinely believe that because of how multifaceted they are as players. They can sit deep, then they can press, they can go and win the ball. Calvin's got a fantastic passing range and he's very specialised as a lone DM. But I think that combination of allowing Declan Rice just to get further forward and break up play and carry the ball and Calvin's understanding of that position when he is on his own is the reason why it works. It's like the perfect dynamic. We've spent years in England trying to shoehorn certain players into certain positions and the relationship that they've got between one another, makes it probably fascinating to see on Saturday, because who can get the better of who? Declan will be playing a more expansive role. He will be pressing that midfield. I know at times he might slot in. I expect him to go and press Calvin, and Calvin to do the same. So, yeah, I don't like comparisons. I think it's lazy, and I think they're two fantastic defensive midfielders, and they deserve credit.
Absolutely. I think, to be honest, I think both of them already have bigger England legacies than Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes. All these players you can list out. I mean, in terms of what they did in the actual major tournament, the fact they've took us to a final, they've had the match performances respectively. Absolutely.
They're still young. They're still young.
They're still young.
25
This is it.
and 22, yeah.
That's it. You might get 50, 60 caps together between the two of them. I know Calvin's a little bit older, but Calvin's one of those players for me where he's 25, but he's a young 25. He's not someone who's just going to suddenly drop off for me when he hits 30 kind of thing. I think it's...
Yeah, sorry, mate. I'm sorry to cut across you, but I think
the
interesting thing about the players that have come back from England duty, people may say Grealish hasn't been top form, Sterling obviously, but particularly Calvin's performed at a very high level for Leeds, even when you've been struggling, and it's almost like he's taken his game to the next level, and Declan's done exactly the same. So I think you're talking about not only ages and development, but mentality of both of those players, the willingness to improve, being around other players that ups the level. It's great. And with all due respect to Leeds and West Ham, as a brilliant fan bases we have, and Leeds probably a bigger club than West Ham at times, you've got to look at it and think, actually, it's good for them to be for them to be at clubs like this and get that exposure.
Yeah, because I think the thing is with Rice and Phillips is that they've had the bad times. Obviously Declan Rice maybe a couple of years ago when West Ham were kind of having a difficult time under Pellegrini. Obviously, when Moyes first came in, there's a bit of criticism in terms of from England fans towards Declan Rice. In terms of why is he playing for England? If he was that good, West Ham wouldn't be down there. All these kind of arguments, and obviously Calvin Phillips had his sort of criticism when he first came in, kind of this time a year ago, and that's what I like about it. I think if they were playing for your Man United, your Man Cities, your Liverpools, where it's a little bit more. There isn't that time to kind of breathe, if in that kind of sense. There's not that time to develop and to just grow into their roles. Calvin didn't straight away take to Premier League football, I'll be honest. I think first 5 or 6 games, he wasn't quite on it. But as soon as he hit that kind of Man City home game, a couple of games after that, he's just been an absolute fire, and he's just been not a problem for him at all. And same with Declan Rice, as suspect as well.
I remember Declan playing away at Liverpool in his first game as a defensive midfielder. He played centre-back, and Pellegrini played him at Anfield, and he had an absolute shocker. He got pulled off at half-time. So, and Declan's such a resilient player. You look at a guy that got released by Chelsea when he was young. He's had to come back. And again, like Calvin, the criticism that he received, he can't pass forward, he can't do this, he can't drive in midfield, he's not well-rounded, he doesn't get enough goals. Now he's adding that. You see what I mean? He just thrives off it. And that type of mentality, I think, is what will get Declan in particular to the top, because he will keep going. He'll keep developing.
Well, another player who I am absolutely terrified of going into the game on Saturday because of our man-to-man marking system that Alan Saint-Maximin has absolutely just destroyed on Friday night is Said Benrahma, because Said Benrahma will be watching what Alan Saint-Maximin's done on Friday and be thinking, I'll do the same. And that's it. That'll be exact. If I'm David Moyes, I'm saying Said Benrahma, watch what Saint-Maximin did, and you can cause a lot of problems to that Leeds team. You can completely... It's one of them, just create space to an extent. It's just unbelievable what Saint-Maximin was doing in that game. Again, part of it was he had a superb game, a particularly good game, probably his best game for Newcastle, I've heard some Newcastle fans say. But I think Benrahma is just someone we've seen before play against Leeds. It's Brentford days, and obviously last season I think he had a really good game up at Ellen Road. So yeah, he's someone that really worries me. I mean, he kicked on this season? Is that a fair analysis? He seems to have kicked on to me this season at West Ham.
Definitely. I actually think probably went under the radar a little bit against Manchester United. It's probably one of his better games. I know.
I wish you didn't say that, mate. I wish you just said that he's a stat padder and he's not moving forward at all.
Benrahma gets a lot of criticism because when a player like that comes to West Ham, and you look at the way we played towards the beginning of last season, it was very much counter-attacking football. Everyone said he's not quick enough, he can't do this, he's not dynamic enough. I've always backed his ability, his vision. I think this season, him off the ball has improved. That's why he's getting goals, the positions that he's picking up, and his understanding of what he needs to do as the number 10. I think it's huge for him to play number 10 for West Ham. They were playing him on the left and playing him on the right, and I think he can get isolated in those positions. But I think you run the risk of looking very closely at Benrahma and thinking, oh, that is a danger man. particularly when you've got Bowen and Fornals and Antonio running. That's really how West Ham's front four works. So I agree with you. I think Ben Rama will take players out of the game. I think he'll look to move into space and drag players away.
Fornals can as well, though. Fornals, Spanish international now, did superbly well. And I think one of the more, probably, I'd actually have Fornals among the top 5, 10. If you're doing like most underrated players in the league, I'd say he's definitely, in terms of wingers, he's definitely up there. He's never sort of considered that kind of like top player. I always have this thing about West Ham where you left wingers, and in terms of your wingers, either side of Antonio, it can change. It can switch. Yarmolenko can come in, but I think now you look at Fornals has really secured his place in that team. Ben Rama's really secured his place in that team. Bowen's really secured his place in that team. You know exactly what that front four is going to be, and I think maybe last season that was the one thing that maybe let down West Ham a little bit, was maybe that little. Maybe you need that few more goals from that side of the pitch, but you're definitely getting it this season. That's the thing. You definitely are. Was it 4 goals in your first? 4 goals in your first 2 games, I think it was.
Someone brought it up, and I think I was doing watching on yesterday, and someone said Moyes trusts his defenders. And I know people think, why are you talking about defenders when you're talking about your attacking players? But he was almost so hesitant to go and play a little bit higher and put pressure on teams, and even press at times, even without the ball. And I think now he's sort of thinking, I've got a defence of, I trust Soufal, I trust Creswell. Zuma's a huge addition. That your players like Fornals and Bowen have the licence to play a little bit further forward. And their improvements start. Jared Bowen is looking very, very good. And I tell you what, he picks up a little bit of composure in front of goal. I think people are going to start talking about as a serious player. Fornals is the same. It's just consistency. They're still relatively young. They're still coming into their primes. Benny's a little bit older than them, but you are right. That attacking 3 for me is fantastic. And you've got Vlasic now as a little bit of depth, and he'll take time to adapt to the league. But again, it's options for West Ham, and the way that we're playing with those players, we're playing more attractive football. It's taken us a while to get to that point, and I think a lot of West Ham fans have, you know what it is. I mean, if West Ham have gone and counted for God knows how long, but teams, to be fair to us, early this season went to Southampton away. They were compact when we had the ball. So teams are figuring us out. So we have to figure out.
And that's at home. That's at home as well from their point of view. The home teams are sitting back against you now.
Palace did it. Palace pressed a little bit, but not as intensely, and they were compact as well. And that's the thing for West Ham we've had to deal with. We are the side that are almost expected to go and win. And Moyes has shown a little bit in the last 2 games that he's got a plan for that. So that's important.
That's it. I mean, even against Man United, I thought you had a lot of chances in that first half. I thought you were, until Ronaldo scores, I thought you were well on top of the game. And actually, you look more likely to get the second goal. I really did feel. And even at 1-1, I thought there's a chances here for West Ham. You really started to get that momentum. Yeah. Last sort of 15 minutes, you got it back. It was kind of like the first 15, 20 minutes and the last 15, 20 minutes, you really had the momentum, I thought. Unfortunately, obviously, Lingard, your former player, obviously produced that moment, but you've not really missed him, to be honest, have you? Really, you've not. I personally thought, being totally honest with you, mate, when I saw Lingard go, I thought, because what does he get? Like 10 goals in 15 games or something?
Second highest goal contribution.
Yeah, I was thinking at that point, that's going to be tough. That's going to take to replace that. I'm not saying your other players aren't good players, but to replace that's going to be tough. But at the end of the day, Ben Rama stepped up, Fornals has stepped up. Bowen stepping up. Antonio was obviously just absolutely outrageously good this season. Probably the best performing centre forward in the league so far this season, I'd say, in terms of what he's doing, goals, assists. He's just doing absolutely everything. It's obviously an interesting one, but you've got that extra 10 goals just from that, really. So you've replaced Lingard effectively from all your players, kind of elevating in terms of performance. But just to finish off with, mate, obviously Leeds, it's been a messy start to the season. You've been a long-term fan of Leeds again, not an actual Leeds fan, but you're praised. Definitely a Leeds fan. He's an admirer. I was thinking what to say. I was going to say praiser, but no, admirer. We'll go with admirer.
I'll say for the record, right? Even without Bielsa, I think your fan base is fiercely loyal and passionate, and so is ours. And that's why I think there's a bit of respect. Bielsa, obviously, with the football he plays, knowing you lads, of course, it gives you a window into Leeds, but. Yeah, I like Leeds as a club. I do.
Do you think we're in trouble? Like, being totally honest, do you think?
Yeah, a little bit, if I'm honest.
Corey, I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking you're always so positive.
I watched the Newcastle game and I thought, that's the game.
That's really put me down. I was thinking I'll finish this on the highest. I was thinking, Corey, no, but I'm only messing.
No, look, I've got to tell you straight because I can't. My eyes don't deceive me, and I think In other games, maybe there is an excuse there. There are weaknesses. You play Liverpool, you know what they're like. And I know a lot of Leeds fans, you watch them week in, week out, you'll see the vulnerabilities and you'll be concerned because the levels drop. But for me, against Newcastle, you look at that first half in particular, you should have finished that game 3-0. And they were so defensive and they gave you the ball. And the minute they started to counter effectively, you couldn't deal with it. And the midfield couldn't deal with it. And that's what worries me about Leeds. I think the press, the intensity of it seems to have dropped. I'm not sure why. Again, I know people always level burnout, but I don't feel that there's really any excuse. And I think that maybe, just maybe, there hasn't been an injection of personnel. And I think, I know you bought well last summer. I think Llorente's a fantastic defender when he's fully fit, if I'm honest. You've got players.
That's a big win, though. That's a problem for
It is a big win. He's so good, but you've had a lot of players there that have been there for a long time. Liam Cooper, Ayling, I think sometimes you need a refresh of a squad, just a little bit, just in terms of getting players in and changing ideas and implementing. And I don't know, I worry about you because you haven't brought in another midfielder to help Calvin. There's no real option there for you to say, actually, because I know Bielsa's very stubborn, but in theory, he could bring on a player and say, we'll play slightly differently. How's he going to tweak it? I can't see it.
When you say you fear for us, I mean, are you talking relegation battle or just a drop off, or just a drop off from last season?
No, I think you'll improve. I think you'll improve, if I'm honest, over the course of the next few months. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you'll improve from the level that you're at now, and I think you'll.
Right. Oh, see, I was buzzing then. I thought you were saying you're going to improve on 9th last season. No, that was what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying.
I think, look, you got. Outside in, you've got to be realistic with Leeds. You got promoted last year. You had a fantastic season. Yeah. It happens. I don't fully buy into second season syndrome because sometimes it hasn't happened. West Ham in particular, we've been up since 2012, so I can tell that. But I just think you've got enough quality to stay up. I don't think relegation's an issue. I think there are worse teams than you, and I think you will improve. But I think Leeds fans may feel a little bit unhappy towards the end of the year if you're languishing in a 14th, 15th, thinking, hang on a minute, why haven't we pushed on? But you've got time. If Bielsa stays for another year, you bring other players in, you refresh and you go again. But that's the problem in this league. You stand still too long, it catches up with you. And that's why West Ham had to buy as well. So I think you'll be all right, mate, in all honesty. I'd hate to see you go down. I don't think it's going to happen.
The league's improved massively, though. There's no doubt about it. I mean, obviously last season when we played you, it was very difficult games. We lost both games. But I'm looking at you this season and thinking, that's a strong West Ham team. I'm thinking, in terms of the strongest 11 between the two teams, I'm struggling to get that many Leeds players in there, to be honest. And that's without even considering the injuries. So definite improvements across the league. And I think West Ham, obviously, I seriously think you guys are going to be top 6 again. I think you've responded really well to Europa League football. Obviously, you've got 2 solid goalkeepers. You've just got solid backup across the team now. But yeah, I do think you're the best. The second, obviously you got your Chelsea, but I do think you'll be ahead of Arsenal and Tottenham again. I just don't see how they're going to finish above you. I don't, unless you have a massive injury crisis. Declan Rice goes on strike in January. I don't see. Well, you never know. Payet didn't he?
Different type of geezer.
Rice is a Chelsea fan. That's all I'm going to point out. He is a Chelsea fan, isn't he? At the end of the day, if old Mason's on the blower in January,
I'm not silly, mate. I've been living on Declan Rice borrowed time for about 3 years now. I'm just enjoying it. He's a joy to watch. I will say, last thing, I think West Ham's approach to bigger games has improved. I worried about Manchester United. The amount of times we went against the top 6 last season, and we were so hesitant to even get numbers forward and counter properly. It was a very defensive display. And I hate doing that against sides that dominate possession because they will find you out with quality.
Yeah, there'll be a moment in the game. There'll be a moment.
And you cannot leave it to chance. Even yesterday, Greenwood made a run inside Diop and he nearly got in and he nearly scored and Areola came out. But the difference is how brave we were yesterday in terms of the game plan, competing on a level footing with Manchester United, irrespective of the personnel. We did it on Sunday. That's a mentality shift because I think Moyes has sat there and said, this team is good enough to compete with those teams. And the minute Moyes trusts that idea, we'll go for it. So we could pull off a shock, I hope, against the top 6. And I think against the other 14 teams, I still think we're one of the strongest outfits. So first 11 all fit, bearing in mind it. Injuries could hurt us, but I think we'll be all right.
It's all right for some, isn't it? It's all right for some guys. But what an absolute legend Mr. Corey Kemp is. Make sure you check out The West Ham Way on YouTube. Check them out, guys. Absolute legend of a man. And me and Corey are about to head off elsewhere anyway. So we will See you later, guys. We will see you later. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, the like button, and subscribe to the West Ham Way at the same time, guys. But you can't do it at the same time. You know what I mean. Don't be awkward, guys. You know what I mean. See you later, guys.